Have you ever heard the story of a greedy dog named Billu? Well, let's dive into it. Picture a dog known far and wide for his insatiable hunger and unending greed. This was Billu, a canine whose eyes perpetually twinkled with the desire for food. Every rustle of a food wrapper, every clink of a dish being laid out would send this ravenous creature bolting in the direction of the sound. His hopeful eyes would sparkle and his tail would wag with anticipation, as he hoped to snatch a morsel or two from the unsuspecting person. His days were spent in this constant quest for food, his belly never quite satisfied, his greed never quite quenched. His reputation as the most voracious dog in the area was well deserved, and his antics were a source of both amusement and exasperation. One day, Billu's greed led him to a big village where a feast was being held. In a large village, the owner of a white dog prepared a special meal for a celebration. The aroma of the food wafted through the air, tickling Billu's senses. It was a scent so tantalizing that it lured Billu from his usual haunts, leading him straight to the village. Upon reaching, he was greeted by a sight that made his mouth water. A feast was laid out in front of him, with people relishing their meals in large quantities. The sight of the food, the laughter and cheer, the clinking of dishes, it was all a symphony to his senses. His big eyes darted around, taking in the sight of the feast, and his greed for food grew exponentially. He watched as people indulged in the feast, their faces lit up with joy and satisfaction. The sight of the food, the sounds of enjoyment, the aroma that filled the air, it all made him ever so eager to partake in the feast. His heart pounded in his chest, his paws twitched with anticipation, and his tail wagged uncontrollably. With a stealthy pace, Billu made his move. He sidled up to the feast, his eyes never leaving the food. Each step he took was calculated, each breath he took was filled with the aroma of the food. His heart raced as he got closer to the food, his excitement building up with each passing second. Slowly, Billu reached the spot where the food was kept and tried to steal it. His paw stretched out, inching closer to the feast, his eyes wide with anticipation. But little did he know his greed was about to lead him to an unexpected turn of events. Carefully, Billu moved his paw towards the food. His eyes were wide with anticipation, his heart racing. But as he stretched his paw out, disaster struck. His paw slipped on the smooth floor, sending him tumbling into the feast. Food flew everywhere, and Billu landed in the middle of the mess, surrounded by the scattered remnants of the feast. A hush fell over the crowd, followed by a wave of laughter. Billu, the greedy dog, had got exactly what he deserved. His greed had given him a fitting punishment. He sat there, covered in food, his tail between his legs, his pride shattered. The laughter echoed in his ears, a harsh reminder of his folly. From that day onwards, Billu changed his greedy habits. He learned a hard lesson that day, a lesson about the dangers of greed and the embarrassment it could lead to. He vowed to never let his desire for food overshadow his dignity again. Billu learned that greed doesn't lead to good. He realized that his insatiable appetite had caused him nothing but embarrassment. He knew he had to change, and so he did. Billu started to live a more content life, satisfied with what he had. He stopped chasing every scent of food that wafted his way and began to appreciate the simple joys of life. A warm spot in the sun, a kind word from a passerby, a gentle pat on the head. This is the lesson Billu taught us all. Greed in any form only leads to downfall. It can make us lose sight of what truly matters and can lead us into situations that leave us blushing with shame or stuck in a dilemma. It's a trap that promises much but delivers little. So what's the solution? Well, it's quite simple, really. We need to learn to be content, to appreciate what we have rather than always wanting more. We need to value the people in our lives, those who care for us, who love us, rather than focusing on the things we don't have. In the end, it's not the abundance of possessions that bring happiness, it's the relationships we build, the love we share, the memories we make. These are the things that enrich our lives, not material possessions. Remember, it's not what we have in life, but who we have in our life that matters. So let's focus on the people who love and care for us rather than on what we don't have.